everybody, Mithril Dragoon here. Welcome back to another episode of Crocodile Shenanigans and Path of Titans. We're going to continue from where we left off yesterday with some more Sarcosuchus gameplay, because I just really like Sarcosuchus. I think that they are undeniably in the top 3 best playables in this game right now. Of course, that is just my opinion. But, I mean, they really just have everything. Everything you could want from a strong creature in this game, Sarcosuchus has. They're decently large. They've got really good attack damage, multiple different ways to approach combat. They have a variety of fun builds that you can experiment with. Being semi-aquatic is always just a massive bonus. And, I mean, really, at the end of the day, I just really like crocodiles. I know it's a dinosaur game, but again, crocodiles are the dinosaurs that did not disappear. There is another Sarco over this way. 2 more Sarcos. Now, in my last video, I had mentioned that if you want to do good at this game, to kind of avoid other players, and I feel like I should rephrase that. I'm not saying to go out of your way to never interact with other players, because then you're not going to be playing the game. What I really meant to say was choose your fights carefully, because at the end of the day, as much as everybody would love to be, have that sort of main character energy, like, oh, I'm gonna be the best, I'm gonna go take on 20 other players and come out the lone survivor, like, that's just not realistic. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, and absolutely, by all means, if you think you're that guy, go for it. I wish you the best. But it is important to know your limitations. Now, me, I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody that I am a professional player at this game. I'm not. I think that I am decent enough to where I can, at the very least, deliver some entertaining content for any fellow Path of Titans players and dinosaur fans. But if you're expecting pro gameplay, like real pro gameplay, I'm probably not the guy. Now, that being said, I do know enough about this game to where I think I can provide some helpful tips for anybody looking to get into it. And really, that would be my number 1 tip. Okay, so the other Sarco over there has seen me. He is coming this way. I'm not expecting him to be friendly, because that was an aggro call. In fact, yeah, I would say he's hunting me. So let's see what we can do here. We're gonna treat him as such. Yeah, he's definitely coming after me. And there's 2 of them, which does not bode well for me. However, that guy is shockingly respecting the 1v1, which you don't see often. Normally in a situation like this, and yeah, see, now he's coming in. So these 2, 3 now. This is miserable. They are probably in a Discord pack. Which, nothing wrong with that. It's not my playstyle, but I know it's effective. I'm not gonna knock it. It is annoying, because as you can see, I'm going to die here. There is no outcome in which I survive this. That guy's gonna bite me on the tail and I'm gonna die. Now, Yep. It happens. Honestly, what I should have done there is follow my own advice. I should have just left them alone because I knew I was outnumbered and I was not going to come out on top in that encounter. So that's what I mean when I say know your limitations. But, I mean, hey, it's a video game. If you're looking to see somebody get super angry, like, oh, how dare they! They came in and they killed my crocodile! No! That's not me. Not in this game, at least. When I play some other games, well, we'll see. If it's funny, I'll do it. But yeah. So that's kind of how a lot of this game tends to go, to be completely honest. Now, as you can see, I've lost some growth because I died. It's totally fine. That's what the quests are for. So now I actually get to show you what I had mentioned yesterday when I had said that, oh, questing is how you grow. The goal of the game is to grow your dinosaur. And ultimately, this game is very forgiving compared to others that I have seen in its genre, which is another reason that I recommend this one. I have not played The Isle. I know that that is another very popular dinosaur game, very much like this. I don't have a PC, so all the footage that you guys see that I upload, it's coming off of my PlayStation 5, which is why I have ideas that I think are good, at least, for some really funny, entertaining edits. I can't really do them, because I'm running with the limitations of Share Factory here, which is also part of why I yap a lot, because I'm trying to come up with ways to work around my limitations here. And ultimately, that's something I think that people could take into all aspects of their life. You can only work with what you have. Some of us have more than others, and that's okay. Ultimately, what matters is what you do with your time. Like right now, some might say I'm wasting time because I'm over here playing video games for probably an hour and recording it to an audience that really doesn't exist for me because I just uploaded my first video yesterday. And this is a very niche game. I have another video planned, might come out today as well, because I have the free time. That's going to be some Dragon Ball Genshin Squadra. Now that's something that I think was probably going to generate more views than this, simply because it's Dragon Ball, and it's something people search for. I don't know how many people search for this, but I'm doing it because I stand to lose nothing. I mean, oh no, what's the worst that could happen? My voice is out there, and people know that I'm playing video games, except nobody knows who I am still, and the ones that do, like, cool. Hi, guys. Even if people did know who I am, like, oh no, my hobby's on the internet. Whatever will I do? I mean, honestly, if somebody gets any entertainment value out of this, even if it's only one person, like if somebody finds my videos, sits down, and actually enjoys listening to me, a grown man, yap about dinosaurs and a bunch of niche crap, like, and it makes their day better, well, then I feel pretty good about myself. I don't really need much more than that. What I do need is an idea of what to do now. I'm not going to go back to the redwoods because we know exactly what's going to happen if I do. I suppose the goal at this very moment is going to be to kind of get back to full adult growth. And then we'll kind of just look for more optimal encounters. Are you squaring up on me, you little turd? Nah, just for that you die. Back here. Where do you think you're going? I am out of stamina. In fact, I'm going to ditch that. Make sure I have some in case some unforeseen foe decides to run up on me. Alright, let's see. Oh, so yesterday I mentioned I'm running the asphyxiating snap ability because I just think that this is very useful now. Before this new map came out on Christmas, this ability was practically useless because nobody played aquatics, and using this on semi-aquatics just is not as effective. I hear footsteps. I don't... That's the AI one. That's not a normal... That's not a player Meg. But his other head options, apart from bite, which you should always have equipped, is swerve. Now this is great if you're on land. This used to be the go-to option. It works underwater too, but it does the extra damage on land. And basically what swerve does... Oh, I'm not in a home cave. You spin around really fast and bite behind you, and that's great if you have people tail riding you, especially smaller, more agile creatures, which tend to be the ones that do that, because you can immediately turn around and get yourself into the prime position of dealing damage. But now, with the new map being very favorable to semi-aquatics and full aquatics, and with full aquatics actually being useful for once to play as, because you can play the game with them, I think it's better, in my opinion, as a large semi-aquatic that's going to be spending most of their time in or near water anyways, to have that asphyxiating snap ability. Because the recharge time is almost the same for both abilities. It's not like you can spam either one out. But the benefits to having asphyxiating snap, which as you can see has a 10-second cooldown. I think I used it in that fight earlier. They're just really good. Because like I said before, it drains oxygen, which is that little blue meter down underneath my health bar, and stamina, which is the white meter. Stamina is what you need to move fast and to use your abilities, and then oxygen is self-explanatory. And a lot of aquatic players, even semi-aquatic players, but more so aquatic players, don't tend to watch those gauges as much as they do. And when you run out of oxygen while underwater, not only do you slow down considerably, but your health rapidly depletes. It's basically a quick, guaranteed way to snuff out annoying fishies that are trying to kill you. What is that? That's a quest giver. That's a big fish. I'm eating you. Big ol' Arapaima, come here. Don't run from me. I will catch you. Rawr. Look at me dance and gloat my kill. But yeah, now the way to counter asphyxiating snap, because it doesn't do a ton of damage, is to just surface for air. Now, where I am right now in this type of water, that's fairly easy to do. In fact, I would go as far as to say that asphyxiating snap in this type of biome is more of a extra step of adding difficulty to an opponent's success rate, because they'll have to be monitoring their gauge as well as paying attention to you. More so than it's going to be anything devastating, because a 10-second cooldown on an attack that you need to land probably 4 times against any major aquatic in order to actually see its benefits. I don't know why it started recording. That's something that a lot of times you're not going to see it go to full effect. It's more of just, like I said, kind of an annoyance factor. And sometimes that's really all you need, because head games go a long way in any form of confrontation. And if you can make someone multitask, they're more likely to end up messing up or slipping up somewhere along the line in a way that's going to allow you to have a bit more success. But then there are locations like the big underwater caves that we explored yesterday, where there's not many, if any, places to come up for air. And if you are in a 1v1 scenario with anything underwater and you start stacking up those asphyxiating snaps, because Sarco does have enough health and armor to withstand enough punishment to probably do so, even if they manage to snuff you out before you've beaten them, odds are that it comes at the cost of their own existence also, because they will have been so focused on actually taking you out that they didn't look at their oxygen, and now they're stuck in a cave, and there's no way to get oxygen in time to avoid drowning. So essentially, even if you lose, you kind of win too. Like, it's not the ideal win, because you've kind of, you've also fallen, but sometimes it's the little things that we gotta be appreciative of. This, I don't know why I don't remember seeing this before. This is strange. This looks so unnatural, but kinda cool. I understand it's a waystone. So waystones in this game are ways that players can teleport each other. So if you're in a group with other players and they're at one of these and you want to get to that side of the map quick, you would use a waystone. And I don't know any of these people. These are people in the server, but like, say this guy was in my group, I would do this, and I would do invite to waystone, and that would allow them, if they accept it, to be teleported to my location. So it's kind of a way for players to get around these big maps. And they're important to find where they are. They're marked by that little green icon on the minimap. Which I know why I can't pull up my map. It's because I changed my control scheme to allow for me to record so I could make a thumbnail for this video. Where is the map? There we go. There we go. I'll put that back so I can show the actual, not make a bug report. I hit the wrong setting. Other people would cut this type of stuff out of the video, But I'm of the opinion that somebody is going to find this so hilarious to see me struggling that it's worth leaving in. Because why not? Okay, so I have a location quest to go there. That's what that icon is. But you can see where the waystones are even before you've visited locations on the map as all those little green dots. And you will need to find those for quests when you first spawn in. You also want to find a home cave, which are the little triangular cave icons. Because that's where, if I wanted to switch out my abilities, and I will actually show what that looks like for those who don't know, this home cave is underwater. So you'll go up to this rock that's marked with that symbol there. You'll enter your home cave, which your home cave you can also decorate with extra rooms and things from your winnings. Mine's not super decorated, but then you go over here. You can hit customize. This is what I mean by you can place decorations. So I have all this. I'll throw some more mushrooms down. Why not? But this is also where it'll allow you to change your abilities. Now you can change your skin anywhere. As you can see, I have 3,000 marks up top. I also could change my sub-race. So I'm running with just the standard Imperator because I like how this one looks. I usually run the bulky one for that extra armor, but I've kind of found that with a lot of armor-piercing dinosaurs running around, just go for the extra attack. Now I could go for the Gharial-looking one, which does actually look pretty cool. I would get that extra swim stamina, so I could sprint swim underwater a lot longer. And that is actually pretty useful. In fact, I'm almost debating on doing this, simply because I think it might be kind of cool. But I like how the default one looks. And sometimes, appearance is just, it goes a long way. Because at the end of the day, these little buffs you get for choosing a subclass, they're all good. I would say that might be the best one, especially now with how much is underwater. But your own skill is going to come into play more than those, because they're not very big buffs. A 3% attack increase, it's going to be effective for what it is, but without it, you're not going to notice that much of a significant difference. So unless you have something like this, that's a 20% buff. That's significant. Unless there's something like that, where you have a large buff that you want to try out, just go for what you think looks the best to you. So yes, here's where I would be if I get some of these. Like this one actually might be pretty good because of the increased damage while underwater. So if I wasn't running strong jaws, because I prefer an ambush Sarco to be able to clamp things and kind of treat it like an actual crocodile, you could run with patient lurking, because you're going to have more oxygen recovery when you come up for air, and you're also going to lose less oxygen while also having 20% extra damage while you're underwater, which is significant. And if you wanted to run the mud build, which is really for a land-based Sarco, you could get Caked On, which goes in tandem with Muddy Scales. You need both of these to run that build. And then Mudslide. And now that alone shows you why I don't like the mud build, because it takes the best aspects of Sarcosuchus, in my opinion, which is the fact that it is a large semi-aquatic ambush predator, and it limits that already fairly niche playstyle to an even more niche one. Because as soon as you get in water, you lose all your mud. And you can't use any of these abilities in the water. And this takes up 3 ability slots to get the full build. So that's pretty detrimental, in my opinion, when your whole goal is to be able to utilize water. Even if you're not going to use water as a means of like combat, which now especially with the new map, you're going to be in water a lot. So having a weakness like that when there are massive underwater apexes like Tylosaurs running around and not having a big portion of your toolkit just isn't a good idea, to me anyways. Now, Gator Dash for the legs, I had commented yesterday, I prefer braced legs because it allows me, when I do go on land, I don't get slowed down going uphill. If I fall off of something, which is very detrimental in this game, I take a bit less damage and I move faster downhill so I can get to water quicker if I do go on land. I just prefer this because there's no requirements behind it. It is a passive. And to me, that's just really good. Gator Dash is very effective also, but it's going to suck up your stamina like crazy. Now, if you use it in the water, it still takes a lot of stamina, but it's more like a quick burst. So you just kind of zip through the water real quick for like maybe 4 seconds, and you get a bit of movement away from or towards a target. And that is very good, but I think with how much stamina it costs to use, especially on land, because you will continue to run on land, and you might forget, because it's ultimately not that much faster than your sprint speed, to where you're not getting away from most of the things you're going to try and be getting away from, unless it's a big, slow T-Rex. And at that point, your default sprint speed will get away from it just as fine. It's not worth draining your stamina and then potentially, especially in the case of a mix pack, like the beginning of the video, where other players might be coordinating and already trying to cut you off, it's not worth losing all that stamina to not be able to adequately defend yourself. So I prefer braced legs. Strong lungs is one that I am debating getting because I am in the water a lot. I went with rugged scales because this one, you get 50% armor in the water, which is great. You lose swim stamina a lot slower, and you have a ton of oxygen recovery if you come up for air. That is a very good ability. But that armor is tied to being underwater, so if you go on land, suddenly you're taking a lot more damage. Whereas rugged scales, the 25% increase in armor, not as much, but it's unconditional. So this is always active. And you also get that health recovery, which I think is just better because that means you'll heal quicker when you rest, which means you can get back to getting into the game much faster. And then status effect recovery while you're in the water, like getting rid of bleed or toxin, stuff like that, is just good. Anyways, that's kind of a showcase of what that is. I realize that's not the most entertaining content. So we'll get back to trying to find another player, get back to the hunt. There's one over there. Look at that, and they look to be a clampable target. Let's see how this goes. If they don't run away... Actually, I don't think I can clamp them. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see what happens. That is a Das Blatosaurus. So that is a smaller Tyrannosaur. He could absolutely kill me. Why can't I clamp him? Oh no! The home cave! So I've messed up. There's a... When you leave a home cave, you can't attack or do anything for a certain amount of time. So I would have been able to clamp this DASP and get that. There would have been a better hunt if I had remembered that. And see, he's too fast on land for me to catch. That really stinks. That really stinks. But ultimately, that is a good example for you guys on what to do and what not to do. I goofed, and it cost me a perfect ambush. Had I had remembered about the home cave debuff, I would have absolutely trashed that DASP. Like, he had no escape. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing, buddy? He might have goofed. Never mind, he knows exactly what he's doing. I'm gonna see if I can make him think that I'm giving up the chase, because usually players that do that kind of maneuvers, like, see how he's doing a bit of trolling now. It may cost him if he gets too overzealous. But I think I'm just going to abandon that hunt. We lost our best element, which is surprise. That really stinks. But that is why you have to pay attention to the little icons above your health to know what you are currently afflicted with. So when you leave a home cave, you have a debuff for a certain amount of time where you are not able to attack another player or really do anything offensive because you have a cooldown. Hold on. This is perfect. Got you this time, you turd! So, we brought it back. Remember how I said his hubris might be his downfall? Well, he really thought that I had left the area fully and totally dropped his guard. Do not do what this guy just did. So, after a failed attempt, we did manage to succeed. Which just goes to show it's never over until it's over. I imagine if I were to open the chat right now in this game, there would be some rather angry comments. So I'm not gonna do that. Because Lord only knows the things that are said. Because people just tend to really not like Crocs because of that. Now me, I'm still gonna keep playing it because I have fun. And I mean, ultimately, if you're gonna get butthurt about dying in a game, that's kind of a you problem. It is a game. You lose nothing, ultimately. And at least that, the way he went out is a lot more tolerable than what happened to me at the beginning of the video. I would rather lose to someone who just knew what they were doing one-on-one than get ganked. And ultimately, again, that was more on him than me. I was going to leave, but then he came back and just was oblivious to his surroundings. Which just goes to further show that when you play a game like this, don't drop your guard. Especially if you've just been attacked once before. Assume that the hunter, in this case, someone like me, is still probably within close enough proximity to take you out. If not, still hunting you. So let's head this way. This also further goes to show why I firmly believe semi-aquatics are the best playable type in this game. Because flyers are nice too, don't get me wrong. I think Hatzigeopteryx is probably one of the better playables in this game, always has been. Now more so than ever with their recent TLC, which I will be playing them at some point as well, because I have yet to grow one on officials. But your flight can be interrupted if you get attacked. If you're trying to take off, which is the strongest aspect of a flyer, is their ability to fly. If you can't do that, to get away, if you're being taken down, then that kind of defeats the purpose. But there's nothing stopping a semi-aquatic from swimming. Except for maybe another semi-aquatic. Okay. Let's head this way. I hear something. I am amazed that this whole time I have not run into a Tylosaurus. I really would have thought that by now I would have been at least encountered one. When this map first dropped, that's all anyone would play, was the new Tylosaurus, and I can't blame them. It is a very cool, very fun, playable. Ultimately, I think it occupies the exact same playstyle, for the most part, as Sarcosuchus, but without the aspect that it can go on land. I mean, it can, but not like this, not long distance, if that makes sense, because it's an aquatic. And that ultimately loses some brownie points for me, which is just a personal preference. I actually would argue that Tylosaurus as a whole is one of the strongest playables in this game. And at some point I will be playing as that as well. I already have one in the adolescent stage. And they are very fun. I just prefer Crocodile. following this river a little bit. I know there's a cave system under this waterfall. Let's go here. I just did a big loop-de-loop. Like a dumb doofy-doo. Ya big dumb idiot, ya. Ya did it. I cannot say that. I'm trying to be better about watching my mouth. I tend to swear like a sailor, but I'm trying to avoid doing that with this channel. Mainly because I don't know who's going to watch it. I was very, very surprised that my first video got as many views as it did. It's sitting at a little over 200 now. And I mean, to me anyways, that's just amazing. Like, because it was my first one. And it's on a relatively niche game. And I have no audience yet, really. So I thank all of you who watch tremendously, because ultimately that's going to be the reason I'm able to keep doing this. I'm going back to the redwoods, I'm just realizing. Very well, let's see if the mix pack from before is still here. But yeah, thank you guys so much. It means a lot, because now I know that, even if only 20 people watch, I mean, the fact that people are taking time out of their day to check out what I'm doing. Maybe they like it, maybe they don't, but ultimately they gave me the time of day. That's something that I personally am just amazed by. Because I never really would have thought that I would have had anybody view my content. I was just kind of doing this to see if I could. And so far, I think that it's working out a little bit. So, that's pretty cool. You fool. Poor fella. I kind of feel bad about that one. If I couldn't turn off my my internal voices there. I saw a small creature in the water, and the croc mode said to just get him. I know that Concovenator Flare is probably fuming, because they were not very big. But at the same time, this goes to show as a lesson that if you aren't able to swim fast, you shouldn't be crossing a large body of water, especially that small, because ultimately, if it wasn't me, it more than well could have been someone else. I mean, take risks where you see fit. It is entirely up to you. But I'm just saying, for anybody who's might be watching this to learn, that wasn't very smart. And I know they were thinking, because Concavenator, or Concavenator, I'm not entirely sure. There's a Tylo right there. I'm not entirely sure the proper pronunciation of that. Is a semi-aquatic also, but they have some of the lesser swim speed. And he was too small to have the swimming perks equipped. That is not only a Tylo, but a melanistic Tylo. He's being friendly for now. So I will let him... I don't trust him. I'm weary about this encounter. In fact, I'm not going to... I'm going to choose caution on that one. I probably could go after that player, and it may even seem hypocritical of me to have taken out the small player and avoided the big one. But as you can see, he already killed a Sarco, which I didn't know when I encountered that Tylo, but this absolutely was his work. In fact, this is one of the ones that killed me in the beginning of the video. I'm fairly certain of it. So, karma has a way of coming around. Of course, I won't know for certain until I review the footage when editing. What? But that skin seemed like it matched one of the people from before. This is what I had hoped would have happened yesterday. Because when I came to the Redwoods yesterday, I was hoping that it would be full of players like this. Because it usually is. It wasn't. So it led to a very uneventful second half of the video. Thankfully, this one's faring a bit better. I suppose if I run into that Tylosaurus again, I will attempt to fight them, just to kind of show what it's like. I will probably lose, which is why I did not initiate conflict with that first encounter there. Because Tylosaurus, part of why it's so strong is that its basic bite attack ignores armor. It does armor-piercing damage. Now, there is a gimmick to that, and it's part of why I don't like it as much as I like Sarco. And that's that it actually won't be doing as much damage to smaller creatures because of how piercing damage works in this game. It ignores your combat weight, which is the weight of the creature you're playing as. And this is why weight is important. Because usually, the bigger you are, the less damage you're going to take from things smaller than you, and the more damage you'll deal to them. Tylosaurus sits in a weird spot right now because it kind of reverses that effect. It doesn't do as much damage to smaller opponents because its main method of attack is actually based on the combat weight of its opponents. So the heavier you are, the more damage you're going to be dealt, and it's going to ignore your armor. The smaller you are, the less damage you're going to be dealt, and because you usually don't have much armor to begin with, the piercing damage doesn't really take into effect. So if I was playing as, say, that small concavinator that I took out when I first came here, I probably would have lived at least 2 bites from that Tylosaurus, which doesn't sound like much, but it's possible. It's less so that I would have won the encounter. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's going to... it's showing what I mean by how damage works. Because if I had gone through with the encounter and not kind of left them alone, they would have absolutely shredded my health comparatively. Because I'm much bigger, heavier, and even beyond that, I'm a bigger target. And we already saw that he had taken out a Sarco that was here beforehand. As we found the remains. Not to mention, I haven't tested it, and I don't think Tylosaur's clamp is able, because they also have the clamp ability, and theirs is significantly stronger than Sarco's because they can lift heavier creatures. I don't know if a Sarco can be clamped. I'm going to assume they cannot be. I think they're just above the weight threshold. But I've seen full-grown Allosaurus get clamped and dragged into the water by Tylosaurs. And Allosaurus isn't much, at least in how it looks in-game. Now, there is a difference between the size of a creature and their combat weight in this game. Sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense, because Allosaurus is about the same length as a Sarcosuchus, maybe a little bit shorter, but they're also one of the bigger mid-tiers. In fact, they're the mid-tier that's so big that sometimes inexperienced players mistake them for an apex, which is the largest class of playables in this game. Which also happens with Sarcosuchus, because Sarcosuchus is not an apex in this game. It's not classified as an apex, it's classified as a mid-tier. So, like Spinosaurus and T-Rex and Tyrannotitan, those are apex. Those are the biggest class of playables and the technical biggest carnivores in this game. So their combat weight and their damage tends to greatly exceed every other playable in the game. I'm being a little quiet right now, because I thought I heard... I do. There's someone nearby, because I could hear their footsteps. I think they're way up in the woods, though. And, like, I could go on land. I absolutely could, and try to chase down someone on land, because I can actually... Obviously, I can still clamp them on land, but I can actually use the death roll when I clamp them on land also. So that vital ability isn't limited to being in the water, which is another reason I really like Sarcosuchus. It is, however, much harder on land to catch things, because as you saw when I mucked that initial hunt against the juvenile Dasp earlier, I'm not the fastest thing on land. The bulk of my speed comes from the fact that I am a semi-aquatic and I have high swim speed. So the whole point of this playstyle, as makes sense for a large crocodile, is that I hunt from the water, grab my prey on land in an ambush attack, and drag them into the water to finish them. I'm not unable to do combat on land, but I'm not built for it necessarily either. That's not to say that it is impossible. There are plenty of people I've seen do very well on land with Sarco. There's people I've seen even take out entire armies of mixed packers. I'm not one of those players. I'm not seeing anyone else, and my recording time is almost up for this video, so I'm gonna call it here for today's episode. I think we did well. I think we got done a lot. We saw a lot. I got to show off a lot more aspects of this game, which is very good. That's obviously what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to get to work on recording some Dragon Ball gameplay, so stay tuned. I have some more stuff coming, and it's going to be a little bit of a change of pace from this. We are still going to keep playing Path of Titans, but I want to get a little bit of a variety out to try and see where the best audience is, because this will be my second video, and I can't really, until I start doing well enough that I have consistency with both uploads and viewers, I can't fully devote a ton of time to doing this. So we're going to see what happens. That's going to do it for this video. I thank all of you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.